Okay. Welcome to Showboys. We're back here, Severance Season 2 companion series. We're going to be talking about episode 7, right? That's what number we're on.
Yes.
Right? 7?
Yes. Yep.
That's crazy. There's only 8, 9, 10. 3 more episodes, guys. I don't know why I had to count on my fingers because apparently math is hard. But
your math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, but we're nearing the end, and it's quite sad. But we do have a surprise, I think, for the finale. As long as certain things happen, but it will no longer be a surprise if I reveal what the surprise might be.
So you should just wait.
You will just be hanging in suspense for the next couple weeks. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Before we get into it, of course, thank you to our top tier patrons, Timby, Usfage, Josie, all our other patrons. You guys are awesome. We are going through Jedi Survivor for our Patreon play-along series. You and I recorded a little co-op gameplay of Rotwood the other night. Threw that up on Patreon. We'll probably do something else fun here to make up for December and January. Go check it out, patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Sign up today, get exclusive episodes, early access to episodes, things like that. It would greatly support us and it would mean the world. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
I can't wait because we were talking in Discord the other day, and we have to do some sort of wild theory counter for each episode.
Yeah.
And you left me hanging in suspense because you're like, I might be able to do that really quick. Hang on. And then it's been literally a week since you said anything else. So I have a couple, well, maybe not a couple. One I think could be shadow confirmed with this episode. But I do have another wild one, and I want to get it out right now before I forget, because it has nothing to do with anything that happens in the episode. But yeah, so I was flipping through social media, saw a clip of Mark S. in his former job before Lumen, when he was working at the Parks and Rec department, creating the idea of Severance in Parks and Rec. Yes. I know we have a super tight turnaround period, but if you're able to insert that short 15-second clip here, that would be amazing.
Maybe it would be good to keep our home life and our work life separate. We only talk about work stuff when we're at City Hall, like a firewall system.
Yeah, okay, that's smart. Home is home and work is work.
So, my theory that has been confirmed is Severance is a sequel to Parks and Rec.
It's legit.
Yeah. So, Dad, where do we start?
Oh, man. There's so much to say.
We figured out who the tray pusher was.
Yes, the creepy doctor dude. So before we get into it, we finally get some depth to who Gemma is pre-Lumen.
Yes.
She isn't just some robotic person like Miss Casey seemed to be. She's not a clone. And after this episode, I need Mark to save her. It needs to happen. They need to be reunited. Okay, so it starts out with a flashback memory. We see Gemma walking through a tunnel to a courtyard of the university that they both work at. It isn't snowy, which is crazy because Severance is always,
always snowy there.
It's always snowy there. It's always snowy in Kier PE. It should be like a spin-off comedy, like It's Always Sunny. So she's walking through, and then the next scene we see Mark, and he is sitting getting blood drawn, and she's doing the same thing, and they're conveniently sitting next to each other. This is where they meet. So they kind of like, share what they're reading. He's going through a paper by one of his students titled "All Quiet on the Western Blunt." I love the humor in this show. It's just enough to be tasteful, and it's just perfectly placed. It's great.
Because then the subtitle was like drug use during like World War I or something.
Like PTSD and how they got addicted to the drugs.
Yeah.
And she's reading Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich, something like that. So she was teaching like German philosophy or something like that, or Russian, whatever, something like that. And he's like, "Who are you?" I'm sorry, who are you? Like, just the way he says it, it's like it's a callback to season 1 where he's saying, "Who are you?" to Helly on the table. Mm-hmm. I thought that was kind of cool. And then we see the equipment for the blood draw. We see a box with the Lumen logo on it, which crazy good. Because
never
for
good
the longest time,
when your employer has your DNA.
No, not good at all. So this whole time I thought it was a reference to water. I think it's now a reference to blood.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Maybe both, but after this episode, I really feel like blood is their whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, that is crazy. I didn't even pick up the lumen on the box there. It was a good catch.
So now, we now see Gemma. She's in Lumen. And can I just say how amazing this actress is? She is so incredible.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like the way that they all have these, like the light switch between the innie and the outie, like they all do so good.
Yeah,
creating very distinct and different personalities for both of these characters. But since you're right, since we haven't seen really much of Gemma or Miss Casey either, or like her getting all the the majority of the screen time in this episode, she was phenomenal as both like her innie and outie version.
Right. So and this was our first like flashback episode.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so like, man, all the transitions were just so amazing. The way they just kind of like blended into the next scene so well, like it's seamless. It was great. So Gemma's in Lumen getting blood drawn by the creepy nurse. Super creepy nurse. Like they couldn't have found look for any other normal looking people. Like they have to find the most sinister looking actors and actresses.
Yes.
So and then she asked Gemma, because Gemma's kind of like zoned out. She's like, where did you go? Like she's having vivid memories. I feel like throughout the episode. And I also think Mark is having some memories too while he's in his coma-like state.
Yeah.
So, the one thing I wrote down was we still don't know where this takes place, like on the timeline, like, or where she really begins her journey as this innie Gemma.
Right.
Like obviously after the car crash, but like how far after that?
is this like? Well, no, I think we figure out this. I was gonna ask, like, is this pre or post her removal, like Miss Casey's removal?
This is post. Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely post because we have that scene with Drummond and Trey Guy talking. Which, man, there's so much to unpack between like what's going on with Gemma in this whatever this section of Lumen is with all the different rooms and their names and yeah, I don't want to like skip too far ahead, but like what's going on in the room that Drummond and the doctor like have that conversation in.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot of stuff going on in this episode.
So much stuff. This is probably one of my favorite episodes of the show. So we have Mark and Gemma. They're in bed together, you know,
Scandalous.
I know, it's crazy. And there's a lot of like close-ups of Gemma's face and Mark's face. And then that's usually when a transition seems to happen, because then we're back with Mark, Ragabi, and Devin. Devin, as Devin does, is questioning everything. Then she threatens Ragabi that if she continues, she's going to throw her off a bridge or something. But I actually probably wouldn't mess with Ragabi too much because she brutally murdered that one security dude
at
the campus.
Every time you say Ragabi, all I can think of is the Home Depot brand of tools, Ryobi. But yeah, Devin is pretty ticked because again, at the end of last episode, she's like, "Who are you? Why are you in this house?"
Randomly showing up in Mark's house.
But I love how Ragabi's like after Mark falls, and she's like basically asking Devin to get her stuff from downstairs. She's like, "Are you clumsy?"
That's what you
It
ask.
makes sense. You don't want her to fall or drop any of
Probably
the
expensive equipment, I would say.
Yeah, but Ragabi does not take kindly to Devin's hostility. She's like, "All right, fine. You want my help? Then I'm just gonna leave." Or, well, actually, what causes that is, yeah, I guess that does happen later. But we can knock that part out though, because it's just like two little sections of the episode, right?
Well, before that though, Ragabi tells Devin that Gemma's alive.
Yes,
she's like, don't play with my heartstrings like that.
Right. Yeah, and what like puts I keep wanting to say Ryobi so bad. What puts Ragabi over the edge is Devin's like, all right, well, let's call Cobell. Like, she'll know what to do. She's, she was the whatever her title was. I forget, like floor manager of Severed Floor or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Ragabi's like, bro, she will kill you so fast. Essentially,
she's born and raised Lumen, so
yeah, she's a thoroughbred. But that might not be true anymore. I don't know. What do you think that conversation? If Devin were to have followed through with that, like, what do you think the conversation would have been? Because Cobell, last time we saw her,
she bounced.
Yeah, she was like not like a Lumen full breed,
No.
She's kind of seeing the light or something like that, kind of seeing through the veil. But I don't know what she would have done. Do you think she would have came and helped, or?
It's hard to tell. Like, Cobelvig is a wild card at this point. Like, I don't know what side she's going to fall on.
Yeah.
She's been pushed far enough that I could see her, going against Lumen, but she's born and raised into it.
She really wants to be the manager again. So
that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. There's just too much up in the air with her.
Yeah, I think probably not reaching out to her was probably the correct decision.
Yeah.
Because, she, like, even though that last interaction was not favorable, Like she still wants her job back.
Right.
Very bad.
Yeah, I mean, if that's all you've known,
Yeah.
what else would she do? Go to the door store or door?
Dude. What was the name of the company? It's like Great Door or like Good
Yeah.
Door or
I
something.
think that great door.
That still might be one of the funniest scenes of the entire show, that whole interview thing.
Yeah,
Um
it's good.
but yeah, I wonder, okay. Mark this as our first serious theory. My Parks and Rec theory, while it checks out, not serious. This one though could be serious. What if did Ragabi actually say like born and raised? Or is that just like us putting words into her mouth?
It's
Like,
something like that.
okay, cuz what if Ko Belvig was like Miss Huang and actually started as a child, went through the program and graduated, or whatever Milchick, like whatever vocabulary he used
The
for that.
Wintertide.
Yeah, like what if she actually was born and raised through Lumen?
Yeah, I mean, that's legit.
That would be crazy.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Okay.
there's the first theory of the night.
it's a good one. It's a good one. Maybe she was a goat. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, it would explain like the Kier like shrine,
Right?
because she's like really all in.
Yeah. I don't know, but I don't know where she fits into the rest of the season. I
Right.
still think she's gonna come back in a big way.
Yeah,
Don't know what that looks like.
she's not done. We're not done with her yet.
No. All right. So moving on, we are back with Gemma. She's getting some vitals done and checked with appropriately labeled Lumen. Had the Lumen logo on everything. We also see a Lumen or a goat chart, which is probably for the goat people because they might not know how to read. I don't know. That's a goat that's upside down. That one's turned 90 degrees. I don't know.
Do they have pouches?
Right. So the next thing that happens is the nurse gives Gemma these like 2 white stones or whatever, which is eerily similar to the testing.
Scientology?
Yes.
Yes.
Very similar to that. And they kind of
That's-
do this like questioning thing where
Mhm.
they gauge the response on this meter. And
what do they call, like, your photons or something like weird?
I don't know.
I live very close to the like legitimate Scientology capital of the world, Clearwater, Florida.
Oh, wow.
That's like legit. Look it up. They own like several thousand acres of Clearwater.
That's crazy.
Like, yeah, it is deep, but that's only like a couple hours north of me. So
That's insane.
yeah, anyway, yeah, the first thing I thought of when she put the stones in her hand, I was like, oh, got some L. Ron Hubbard material around here, like what's going on?
Yeah, it's a lot of crazy. And I think that there might be some more similarities, like if we dig a little bit more. Like the whole refining thing, like I don't know. And then the nurse asked Gemma if you were caught in a mudslide, would you be more afraid of suffocating or drowning? Gemma says drowning, and then the readings go crazy, like she's lying. And then
What would you pick?
I mean, it's basically kind of the same. Like,
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, except
the ability
like
to breathe.
I guess the difference would be like drowning, aka just choking to death on mud, or like having the mud block all your airways and suffocating.
But I wonder if that has something to do with her accident.
That's a good Good.
Because maybe she did
question.
drown.
Maybe that's why it went off. Started the reading started going crazy.
And if maybe she did drown, would it be easier to bring her back to life? But then like play it off like she didn't make it.
Hmm.
I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah.
So she then asks the nurse how many rooms. The nurse says 6. She's not happy about it. She kind of seems irritated. And then she leaves that little nurse station, which is conveniently attached to her living quarters. She goes to her closet, which when she opens it, she sees a red dress and some other things, and she's like not happy about it. Interesting, because she knows at that point how she's going to feel after that specific room.
Yeah.
And then we see them go down the halls of this floor, which are different. It's still all white, but like where the doors are, they're kind of like cut out, like
Angled. Yeah.
45s.
Yeah. It's kind of reminds like kind of like how the different trees in Nightmare Before Christmas, when Mr. Jack Skellington is in the woods and each tree has its holiday. So like each of these offices is just like a complete standalone island in this big room, and there are so many.
There's
So many.
It's like another labyrinth, like the severed floor.
Yeah, and it appears like instead of an elevator, just like as soon as she crosses through the door threshold,
Yeah.
which I don't know if we've talked about the visual of the like any outie switch,
Maybe
but like
briefly.
the way they make, like I know it's like camera lens different aspect ratios, but like it makes their face look
Different.
Yeah,
it's like it either like
shape of
swells
their
up or like
face.
shrinks
Yeah.
down. Yeah, it's cool.
I love how they do that because again, it's another thing of like trying to infer that like this is a unique person. It's really cool. It's a very good touch.
It's like I've been saying, like the camera work in this show is just it's amazing.
Yeah.
And we'll get to one of my favorites here in a bit.
Mhm.
So as we're going down the halls, we see a bunch of these rooms and we see a bunch of names, which are the names of the files that we've seen from the MDR group. We've got Allentown, Cairns, Drainsville, Sienna, Loveland, Wellington. And that's where her first stop is. And nurse puts her hand on a hand thing, and a thing comes and pricks her finger. And
that would be really annoying. If that's how
every
you open
time,
doors, your poor hands would be so sore all the
and
time.
it's the same finger probably.
Oh man, that's rough.
But with it being 6 rooms, and if it's, let's say, an 8-hour shift, they're not like, back to back to back to back. She's got some time to recover, which is nice. To ice it,
Yeah. I got like one wicked callus on that one finger. Eventually, the little needle is just gonna snap. It's not going to penetrate the skin anymore.
Well, then, I mean, maybe they use all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that happens, and then this is where we see Gemma's transition to another innie. And this is crazy because this kind of goes back to the severed inception theory I kind of had, where it's like innie within an innie or whatever, but it's not really. Like it's from Gemma, like she's Gemma as her outie in Lumen, but then when she goes up to the severed floor, she becomes Miss Casey, and then when she goes into one of these rooms, she becomes an innie there. And I think each room is an isolated occurrence of a severed influence thing.
Did you call this innieception?
Anyception. Maybe no, I didn't call it that. I'm not that
All right.
clever.
Oh, that's what we're gonna call it.
Anyception. I like it. I like it.
Any within an innie within an Audi. Not the car Audi.
Right.
Not the brand Audi.
Outie, not
Yes.
Auda.
But what if the Audi was driving an Audi?
I mean, it's not too far from.
Yeah.
Imagination.
I'm sorry. I'm tired and I have no filter tonight.
All right, you're good. You're good. We've got a lot to go through, so
I apologize for the
pull it
lack of
together.
filter.
So this is the dentist room. You see the dentist chair, and then we hear the familiar whistle that we heard a couple episodes ago with the whistling dentist.
Yep.
And we finally meet this man. His name is Dr. Maurer. Seriously, one creepy dude.
Oh, dude, you took the words out of my mouth. I was literally going to
So
say,
creepy.
what a creep.
His smile and like even his like little weird laugh he says after he says, "My mom, I should have been an accountant like my mom wanted." Like it's so awkward and forced. And when she says, "Could I please get a break for just a little while?" And he's like, "It's been 6 weeks."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I was just here."
Could you imagine being that innie where
No, that would suck.
your entire life is
That would
being
suck.
at the dentist? That's like my worst nightmare.
All of these experiences for her are terrible.
Yeah.
As we soon find out. So Gemma leaves the room holding her jaw. She was in there for 2 hours. What in the world are they doing to this poor girl's mouth?
Yeah.
Drilling.
Making sure the clone's teeth have grown in properly.
Oh boy. Okay, so back down the hall, and we pass Cold Harbor, which cool how it fades out, and then we see Mark, and it's like above his head.
Yeah.
Thought that was a cool little fade. This is a fun little thing with Devin because she's still there with him, and she makes the comment, "I need you back, milady." It's a nod to season 1 where they call each other milord and milady.
Yeah.
And they're like opposite.
Right.
So, and this is another cool camera effect where the camera pulls back and we zoom out, and then we're going out of Mark's eye, and it's a flashback. And he's walking down the hall with a smirk on his face. He's going to see Gemma. And when he goes into the room, I thought this was interesting that she sneezes. Like, that's kind of just weird. And kind of random. It felt random, but I feel like it was done on purpose, obviously done on purpose, but I feel like there's something to that. I just don't know. He brings her an ant farm because he said last night you said you liked ants, and she said, "I said I liked plants." But I love farms. Yeah, classic Mark.
Yeah.
And then we have another transition to where he's at work in his office, and she's getting all touchy-feely and kissy, and then she sees the crib and a box, and she says, "Who's putting it together, Mr. Handyman? You?" And he's like, "I happen to be quite handy." And then she eventually corrects him and says, "You meant handsy." And they have a moment, and then this next part, the montage with the French song, and then like the cool like pictures and quick video, and like the books piling up and then going back down, and she's watering her plants, and they're outside, and it's springtime. It's great. They're just kind of showing their love blossom in the springtime, which is really cool.
Yeah, I felt personally attacked during the handy comment.
Because you're not handy.
I've definitely had that said to me a few times. I feel like
that you're not
like,
handy.
oh, you're gonna put something together. Do you know what tools are? Shut up.
Shut up. That's
I
funny.
know what a wrench is.
It's this thing right here. Can you dodge
Yeah.
a wrench? Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that was a cool. I think all the flashbacks were handled like really well. But I did like that little montage and different like effects and filters and like grainy.
It looked like it
during
was
some of
taken by
it.
like a phone camera almost.
Yeah, it was really cool. I think didn't did you watch the behind the scenes thing at the end?
I didn't.
I think their cinematographer directed this episode, which would
She
make
did.
a ton of sense.
She did.
Okay, yeah, so that explains all of the cool camera work and shots that they did. Oh no, my headphones. Oh.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. But yeah, I mean, if your job is the director of cinematography and you get to direct an episode, I'm sure you're gonna put your touches, your fingerprints all over the episode.
And that she did.
It was very evident, and it turned out really good.
I hope she does more because
yeah,
seriously, when I'm obsessed with camera work, and like this is going to be a callback to, man, probably 2 years ago when we covered Mr. Robot.
Oh yeah,
so much good camera work in that. The epic one shot where he's in the building. Dude,
yes,
still one of my favorite moments of that show.
That whole episode was a one shot. Well,
yeah,
as I don't know,
as much as
legit as that actually is, but like, man, when you do that, it just creates tension that you cannot create in any other way. I watched at the end of 2023, I watched what's that movie? 1917, or maybe it was early 2020. It doesn't matter when I watched it recently, semi recently. I think the movie's 1914 or 1917. I forget the year. It's a year. That's the name of the movie. But it's a World War I movie, and it follows two soldiers who are buddies who are sent on a mission to deliver a message to the front line from one other place. The entire movie is shot as if it was a one shot.
Oh wow!
So no camera breaks, no position like cuts to position cameras.
Oh, man,
it was so intense and it was so good. Anytime I'm just a sucker for one shots or like pseudo one shots. I think they're super cool. I think True Detective season 1 had a really awesome one. I don't know. Did you watch the first season of True Detective?
No.
There's like this shootout at a drug house that happens, and it's just so nuts the way they did the one shot. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting going down a rabbit trail. But once you bring up one shots, I get excited.
I mean,
get a little excited.
Yeah, it was my fault. I started it. So after this little montage, we have them dancing towards the end of it, and then it goes into the next scene where they are at dinner with Rickon and Devin, and they're talking about hiking. This scene was great. I love Rickon. I'm glad we got to see him. He says, "Outdoorsmanship courses through my veins." So, and then we have Devin pouring wine, but then Gemma puts her hand over her glass, which she is preggers. Then behind that conversation, Mark and Rickon are having a conversation about drinking pee. I don't know if you picked up on that, but like,
no, I can't.
Filtering it out and then drinking it. And then Mark's like, "Why would you do that?" And I think that might have been like ad-libbed a little bit. They were just having a random conversation while that other moment was playing out, and you obviously you weren't really paying attention to what they were saying. You were paying attention to the moment that we've discovered that Gemma was pregnant.
Right.
Because that's the bigger moment anyway. So, dude, the transitions, I can't, man. Like, I can't get over it. Like, it's just beautiful. So we see the transition. We get a close up of Gemma's face, right? And then it gets dark, and then it gets light again, and she's now in the bathroom, and she's having a hard time, and she is going through a miscarriage, which totally heartbreaking. So she goes over to the shower and turns it on, and then she sits down, and we see the blood. And then Mark walks in and instantly rushes to her. He holds her. Really intense moment. Like, Mark, dude, Adam Scott is a phenomenal actor too. Like, I'd never seen this side of him.
Right.
And like, I would say between season 1 finale, where he's, realizing that Gemma's still alive, to the moment where he's in the hallway when the reintegration process is beginning and he sees Gemma for the first time, his face is amazing. Just the way it shows so much like anguish and heartache and despair all at the same time.
Yeah.
And then now, like, he's feeling this with her. Like, it's obvious. So, and another really cool effect that they did, which I didn't catch until my second watch through, you see the water going up, like it's going in reverse. The whole scene's playing in reverse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
cool.
and then it shows Mark, and it's still going in reverse. And then it transitions seamlessly to, from season 1, when Miss Casey comes to MDR to observe Heli R. And I was watching a video where they did it. It wasn't like obviously copied. Like, they reenacted that scene, and it was like almost perfectly lined up. Like, it was very close.
That's awesome.
And then this is the transition that like made me giddy. Where the camera falls back, like into the floor, looking up at the ceiling, and then it spins around and it falls through the floor, going through like this cable, and then it comes out from the box across the floor up to another monitor where we see Mark's
the
observer.
secret office.
That was a one shot and no CGI at all. That was.
Do they have like a video showing it? Because I want to see how that.
There was something about that, the director talking about it, like explaining everything. I think it might be on her Instagram. But
you'll have to send it to me because I want to see that.
She is phenomenal. Like, this camera work is like nothing else I've seen. So now we're in this like observation room. We don't know how far down this is. We don't know if this is the same floor that Gemma's on currently. So the man that's observing Mark sees the files Drainsville and Cold Harbor. And then it kind of zooms out, and then it does like a turn around the entire room, and it shows 4 people who look like our innies from MDR. Like, they're like twins of our MDR buddies.
Twinnies.
I'm
on fire tonight.
Twinnies. That's perfect.
Inception. Twinnies.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. So then we circle back around, and now I think we've gone back in time. And we hear Mr. Drummond asking if the severance barriers are holding. The guy that's observing Mark says, yes, the technology is working.
Yes, the technology is working as expected.
Yes. And then we also see Dr. Maurer, who's in a tracksuit with a really big mustache. And Mr. Drummond says, "You like her?" like as a question, and Maurer's like, "She's easy to like. She's fond of me too, of course." Okay, buddy. And then Drummond's like, Didn't she try to break your fingers? I love it.
Yeah. And he says something like, basically like, she's going to leave.
That's later.
Oh, I'm getting
You're getting ahead of
sorry.
yourself.
I
That's
am.
okay. So then we see they're now observing Gemma, and she's walking down the hall with the nurse, and she's wearing some kind of sports outfit, uniform, whatever. So, and then she goes to walk through a door. We don't get to see where she's going because we go to another flashback where they're at a hospital clinic to start the IVF treatment while they're
Okay. Can I? All right. When you're done going through this part, give me like the signal, because I think this is where I'm gonna talk about a theory.
okay. Well, I will go through this whole part because it's short. So what I noticed on my second watch, they're like walking through the waiting room to go sit down, and we see Dr. Maurer there.
Really?
Yeah, he is there, and he's glaring at Gemma. Like,
That's very weird.
and this is like my one theory that they are targeting Gemma and Mark for some reason. Maybe something to do with their blood.
True.
So basically, Mark is very comforting here. Not really a part of or a side of Mark that we've seen too much of.
Right.
She apologizes to him, which felt kind of out of place. Like,
Yeah.
we could see it as she's apologizing because maybe she blames herself for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or another theory is that whatever she's doing is kind of setting them up for something else. Because when we look at the form that she's filling out, it has the lumen water droplet on it, or the blood droplet on it. And then the music also changes to some kind of like mystery.
What do you mean, like setting them up? Like she's intentionally doing something? Like, yeah, just explain.
Or like she knows that it's probably questionable.
Oh,
what
okay.
what the route she's taking.
Yeah,
Because
like
of another scene that's coming up.
It could have unfortunate consequences.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I didn't catch Maurer there. That's crazy. But okay, so we talked about Miss Huang.
Yes.
Bro, this episode, in my opinion,
I think I know where you're going with this.
At first, I was like, when she like covered the wine glass and we had the pregnant thing, that's when I messaged you in all caps, like, bro, my theory has been confirmed. But then immediately after I said that, the next scene happened. I was like, just kidding. But then this happened. And as we're talking about tonight, like, I didn't realize that the blood they were giving at the beginning of the episode was being collected by Lumen. So Lumen has their DNA.
Yep.
Lumen now knows that they are struggling with fertility and keeping a baby like to term.
Yep.
Dude, and Miss Huang is a young child. Mark or Adam Scott in real life is like in his low 50s. So like him having however old do you think Miss Huang is in the show? Maybe like 12, 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
That's not unrealistic. I'm 38 and I am about to have a 10-year-old. I mean, bro, Miss Huang is their child created by Lumen.
I think so. I think that they took their DNA and made a clone. But the thing about that is how much time had actually passed.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're right. That's all that matters.
I think it's a legit theory.
Take your victory, Jeff. Okay.
I'm with you. We'll take that as a W.
And see, this is where the spray and pray tactic of theories, like eventually one of your theories has to come true.
It's true. It's true.
But I called this several episodes ago, and I just want to toot my own horn. I think it's true. It hasn't been like actually confirmed yet, but I also did this on The Chosen like 2 seasons in advance. I don't know. Did you watch The Chosen at all? Okay. Well, there's
Parts of it.
there's like a Roman centurion guy, and I was like, that's totally going to be like the guy from the story in the New Testament.
Yeah.
And then like literally like James like kind of scoffed at, okay, that sounds mean, but he kind of chuckled as
it's like,
as most people do with my wild theories, because I throw them out all the time. And then my wife also had a similar reaction, but then like 2 seasons later it actually happened. I was like, I told you, dorks.
I told you all. I told everybody. You didn't listen.
Yeah, well, they didn't listen to The Boy Cried Wolf either, so
That's right.
I don't really blame them for not listening, I guess.
That's a great theory, and we're gonna just, that's a win for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so now from the clinic scene, the waiting room, it goes to Gemma's room, which is the same exact shape as that waiting room. Just it looks different, and I don't think it means anything. I think it's just a clever way to transition, because Gemma's sitting on a couch in the same position, in the same spot that she was. I think it was just a creative way to transition, which was amazing. So we have another flashback where the camera's like going down the halls, like really quick, like going, like running down the hall, then on the side of the wall. Really cool. Like it's like we're like the eyes of something like running down this place. We see the elevator, then we see a quick shot of the clay tree that Mark was working on in the wellness session with Miss Casey. I probably missed some other stuff, but we go up the elevator, down the hall, and we're now on the severed floor, and we go around the corner and we see Mark putting on a sweater, and he goes through the door, and it's the flashback where he's giving Gemma the shot. And it's their third time. And this part's important because I didn't catch it the first time. They say, she says third time's a charm. He says that's what they say. And then Gemma says, I'll write you a thank you note. And Mark says, you hate writing thank you notes. Which
foreshadowing,
yes, but like they must know. They must have been watching to know to be able to do that, because they're trying to trigger.
I have a theory about that scene, but go ahead, continue.
Okay. Basically, he makes a cool comment like, there's a kid out there waiting for us, just got to reach out and grab her. Interesting that he says her.
Miss Swan, you mean?
And she's
not done growing in the lab yet, Mark. Calm down.
Calm down. So now we are back in Lumen, Gemma, with Dr. Maurer. We see the same shot. Okay, so she's sitting in a chair, and there's like this device, this big thing coming down. It's kind of like some kind of scanner. I don't know. Yeah. So, and then it shows us the screen, which is the same screen that, well, it flashed on Mark's screen of her face in Cold Harbor, but I think it was actually the observer that saw that case file when he was observing Mark on the screen. So he's asking her some questions. You know, how many rooms did you go through? She says 6. Did you exit any of the rooms feeling despair? He says some other words. And then she says, she brings up Cold Harbor. Like there was a name that she saw that wasn't there before. And then she asks, what happens once I've been in all the rooms? He says, you will see the world again and the world will see you. Which she replies, so I'll see Mark. But he kind of dodges this question. Actually, he does dodge this question. He says, Mark will benefit. Kier will take away all his pain just as he's taken away all your pain. And then she says, can you please just talk like a normal person? She's so fed up with him. Like, because Gemma has been through so much with this guy that she's just annoyed. And then he says, good night and dream sweet. Then we have another memory. A lot of memories in this. A lot of flashbacks. She's sitting with the pregnancy test. Mark calls out for her, and then she shuts the bathroom door. And then this is the part where you were talking about earlier with Mark, where Devin and Ragabi argue, and she's threatening to call, or she says she'll call Kobelvig, and Ragabi isn't having it. And she's like, I'm done, Yeah. And she's leaving, and Devin's like, but I need you. What happens when he wakes up? And
like, you should have thought about that before you go making me all upset.
And then as she's leaving, she says, don't call that woman. Okay. Thanks a lot. And then Mark starts whispering. Like, he starts trying to say words.
Like mumbling under his breath, yes.
And he's actually saying Chikhai, which goes to another memory where we see the cards that like Gemma got some stuff in the mail from the clinic. These are the same cards that O&D made from season 1.
Oh, really?
In different fighting poses. And she's saying that it's the same guy fighting himself. And she says ego death. And he asks, how do you know it's the same guy? And
it's a great song, by the way.
It is a great song, except for the end. I'm kidding. I should have kept my mouth shut.
Bro, that part literally makes me want to cry.
Yeah, I know. So this is where, I'm totally dodging what you said. They get into an argument here, which is pretty intense. And I felt bad for them both because a seemingly hopeless situation. I can't imagine the heartache and heartbreak.
Oh, right.
To go through that, and the strain it puts on a marriage. And then he says, so let's stop. And this is where I wrote down that Mark is slowly becoming the Audi Mark we have come to know.
Yeah.
He's just falling apart. Like, and I mean, I get it. So we have more of Gemma at Lumen. She's getting ready. She's in a plane, a simulation of intense turbulence. And Dr. Maurer is there serving her food.
Yeah.
And then he gets launched up to the ceiling.
Yeah. Enjoyed that because not a fan of this guy.
No. And then we have, I don't remember what, it's Drummond talking to Maurer saying that he's stuck at 96%. He's talking about Cold Harbor.
Oh, yeah, because the observer, like the screen, it shows his empty chair because I think obviously this is like current time. Mark hasn't been at work because he's like basically in a coma in his living room. But what did he say, though, after he's been stuck at 96% and then says something about...
He says, when he's done, you're going to have to say goodbye to her.
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean?
Because Maurer is not going to see her anymore.
He's in love with her, yeah.
Yeah. I love, though, like, Drummond's parting words. It's like, why are you wearing that stupid sweater?
Yep.
I literally laughed.
And he doesn't even respond. He just leaves.
I was not expecting that at all. And I was like, you know what? That's a great question. Why are you wearing that stupid sweater?
But we find out
Yeah.
shortly after that because Gemma goes into another room where it's Christmas time. And he's there, Maurer, sitting on a couch or a chair in his ugly sweater. And she's sitting at the table writing thank you notes. Thanking someone for the degrouter or the grouter or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh man, yeah.
Different type of torture, man. Psychological to like a different degree. It's crazy.
But okay, so here's my theory. We made it to the part.
Good.
It's not really a theory. It's just more evidence to support the theory that this Gemma is a clone. Like I think there's an argument of equal merit for both sides of your side of the coin of this being like torture to a degree, like if not torture, just definitely like some mind games,
like conditioning.
Which is again very cultish, standard practice for cults. But like, and like, okay, so then I'll go to the other side of the coin, and then we'll go back to the other side of the coin. So that's one side. The other side being like all of these rooms that she's going in are, you know, a dentist. Maybe they're making sure that her teeth are actually like growing right, or like putting teeth in her mouth if they aren't, or things like that. We didn't really see any of the other rooms. She was in like active wear, so maybe it's just like conditioning for her body to get her used to, I don't know, being a grown up now or something. The way I'm saying this sounds really stupid, but in this room, she's learning how to write again. I know when they zoom in on the card, like her handwriting is like
really bad.
A 97-year-old like stroke victim. Like, but flip back to the other side of the coin, and they like look at the table. There's like a whole stack. It's like Milchek with the paper clips. But I don't know, the way I saw it was like, maybe I saw it this way because I'm trying to confirm my own theory. But I was like, I mean, it could be both too. It could be conditioning, but also like she has to learn how to write again, because either she was dead and they brought her back to life, or like she is a new body, a new mind, and like has to learn these things. I don't know. Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know, unless they're like manipulating her brain somehow. Like maybe this is like, are you thinking like, so like post crash, she's obviously going to be messed up, right?
Yeah, if
And
not dead.
If not
one
dead,
of those
correct.
two, like not in
So
great
like
condition.
either way, she's going to have to learn how to do things again, or deal with stress, or
yeah, exactly. It's almost like a rehab, because like
physical therapy or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's with the vision tests? What's with the dentist?
What's
like,
with the
what's
working
with all
out?
of the exercise?
Yeah.
Like, but all of those things too could be used for like breaking down, you know, brainwashing, mental conditioning too of somebody. I mean, just look at like any known cult's behavior. They do insane things to condition the followers' brains to essentially, you know, get complete loyalty and complete buy-in from the people, right? So
yeah,
that's why I say, like, I think there's equal merit to both sides of that coin.
Right.
They're both, I think, equally supported and equally plausible for either explanation. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's a legit theory. I mean, I think. Yeah. It's.
The cloning just has to. Cloning is a
I
thing.
think it. I think it's a thing in this.
Whether it's
I don't
Huang
think
or
it's with Gemma.
Gemma,
I don't
or
think
it's
it's with
going
Gemma.
to be Kier, like with the goats and the blood, and it's just there has to be something.
Yeah. So at the end of this section, or at the end of this room, Maurer says Christmas has a funny way of coming back around each year. And she's like, it's always Christmas. And like the look of anger on her face, like it's always Christmas for her. That's all
Yeah.
she knows.
My children would love that.
Not if they had to write thank you notes
Man, if they
every
got it,
time.
if they got enough presents.
But that, like, it confirms the idea I had that each room is separate. Like it's a separate experience.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're onto something there for sure.
Because to this Gemma, this is all she knows. And the one at the dentist, that's all she knows.
That is straight up torture.
Yes. Yes.
There's no way around
And, like,
that. That's just
constant plane turbulence would probably be a nightmare too, honestly. That's
yeah. So would
crazy.
you rather that or your entire life being at the dentist? I think I would take the turbulence.
I would rather write thank you letters, I think.
Oh, even with those knuckles, bro?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. It'd be all right.
Well, I guess if you didn't know that the turbulence was just like a simulated room, that would be pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
You're on a never-ending flight that always feels like it's going to crash.
I was like, are we gonna crash yet? It's been like days. What's going on? So
the dentist would 1,000% be the last room I would ever want to be in.
absolutely. But we did get to see a couple of them, or a few of them, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But this dude is so creepy. He says, "I love you" to Gemma,
Yeah.
and she chuckles at him. And he's like, "Oh."
He
I
went a
said
little
I look-
Midwestern there.
Yeah.
Oop.
Oh. Like trying to like correct her.
Yeah.
And she says, "I love you," in a tone of "I'm going to kill you,"
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah. Super messed up.
So she leaves, and then she's walking down the hall, and there's a quick like flash of an image. I saw it on my first watch. I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't have time to. I just want to watch the episode.
Mhm.
Second watch, I saw it again, but then I paused it and replayed it like 20 times to try to pause it on the moment.
Did you get it?
I did.
Oh
And
wow.
it's actually it's her, and she's in a dress with a long braid sitting down. And she goes back to her room. She's sitting there, and then we see Mark destroying the crib, like he's totally losing his mind, tearing apart this crib. And that quick flash is now this moment where Gemma's sitting at the edge of the steps, listening to him do this. And then the next scene, he's holding her on the couch. It's Christmas time, and it's actually the same tree at their house with Dr. Maurer. So they're like planting things intentionally to see if like anything gets triggered.
Interesting.
So now it's back to Gemma in her room at Lumen. Dr. Maurer comes to the door. He comes in, asks how she's feeling. She said, "My hand hurts." He asked her what room caused this. She said, "Allentown." and she says, I want to go home.
Yeah.
And he turns around and turns the music off, which is a crazy looking like radio type thing,
Yeah.
tape player, whatever. He turns it off and he gets right to it, and he tells her that Mark has remarried last year and he has a daughter.
Oh, so messed up, but also confirmed. They swung.
But he didn't.
They literally confirmed it.
He
for
didn't
us.
remarry though.
Doesn't matter. He's got a daughter.
Got a partial truth in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But she says straight up, really quickly, I don't believe you. And he says, you've been gone for a long time. He's moved on. Maybe you've moved on too. Maybe in one of the rooms. And then he walks away and he's saying, he carries on. Maybe, do you feel yourself gravitating to one room or other, maybe the other things you felt in one of these rooms that you never felt with Mark. Maybe I've seen it. He's grabs a book. He's reading The Death of Ivan Ilyich, which is a nod to earlier the book that she was reading. And then she smashes the chair over his head, knocks him out, and takes his key card and makes a run for it in the dark.
Before we get to the dark and the escape, your comment about the things in the room being like planted there to trigger something.
Yeah.
I think that like lends more credence to like the clone, or she's like recovering in this rehab thing. Cause like, okay, the dentist, what if that's meant to like try to trigger the whole IVF doctor experience, right? Because it's a doctor type room. I'm like really making a stretch for this. Okay, so you're just gonna have to go along with this.
I can't wait for your airplane.
The plane turbulence is like
her crash.
The turbulence either of the crash or like of the scenes of their marriage, like post continuing to fail the IVF pregnancy tries, like
right,
and the other like degrading of their relationship between the stress of everything and then this Christmas tree is in this very sad scene again of the degrading of their relationship. So I wonder if like maybe they're like seeing if this new or rehabilitated Gemma like can remember, or they're testing like the strength of the Severance technology.
Yeah, I think they're testing it. But that part with the Christmas tree was a comforting moment in the flashback because he was holding her.
Right.
And by bringing the tree back, maybe it was a weird way for Dr. Maurer to have some kind of like romantic.
I'll comfort you after you're done writing 900 thank you cards.
Stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. Just
I think there's something there. I think they're definitely trying to get something to trigger because, and this is something that Kobelvig did in season 1, where he did this intentionally, like with the tree, where he sculpted the tree with Gemma because she was trying to make sure that the Severance chip worked, given very intense like links to memory, like even with the candle being lit, like you have to make sure it's holding, right? Like you got to make sure that it's maintaining its ability to be severed and to split memories. So, and I think this goes back to last week about I feel like love has a way of leaking through somehow, and I think that they're testing that because love is the greatest like connection that two people can have. So what better way than to try to break her down in these intense moments to test where she's at, like as far as her love for Mark, because it's very apparent, like when she's herself outside of these rooms, she's all about Mark and she wants to be with Mark. And this is why now at this point of the episode where she makes a run for it and goes to the elevator and gets the heck out of there, which could possibly be hell at this point. It, pretty good depiction. So she goes up the elevator and becomes Miss Casey, who is very confused and disoriented.
And who's there?
She's making a dash to the hall, the doorway at the end of the hall, and it opens up suddenly, and we see Milkshake, who is clearly,
hey, what you doing?
his breathing is a little labored, like he had had to rush to get there on his motorcycle and run through the halls to get there because he still had his jacket on. And he, tells her to go back, that your Audi was at a art convention or something and got in the wrong elevator. I yelled. Man. I yelled at this moment because I want her to get out so bad.
Yep. There's so many layers though.
There are.
They have to they have to manually shut it off like they did with the OTC.
Yeah.
It's really going to be the only way, because even if Mark is able to get down there to her, she has it's so much inception with Gemma. It's like every door she walks through, she's going to be a different person.
But he is the constant to her. Like no matter where, what part
it would really test your love, theory.
Well, and
how
I think
that is.
Well, because there was something said in season 1 after one of their wellness sessions that she made the comment, "There's something about you," or something to that effect. Or "I enjoyed my time with you." And obviously a connection there. Right. Obviously. So it'll be interesting to see where they take it from here.
Yeah.
So as she's leaving or walking back to the elevator, she turns around and says, she starts to say, "Where is someone?" And he just cuts her off and says, "Thank you, Miss Casey." I think that she was going to say, "Where's Mark?" So she gets back to the elevator, and we missed a whole freaking section.
We did.
So yep. So in between the time that Gemma gets to the elevator and becomes Miss Casey and where she's at the hallway, which is a very, very important part. Mark is working at his desk. Gemma comes in.
Oh yeah.
They're getting ready to go to a party, and she's like, "Are you sure you don't want to go?" And he's like, "Yeah. I got a lot of stuff to get done." Dude. And he encourages her to go. And they bring up something about charades, and she's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be 20 minutes of charades," which is kind of ridiculous. And she says, "I love you," and he doesn't respond.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "I said I love you," and he says, "I love you too, and I'm sorry." So, which is actually another nod or reference to the part where Dr. Maurer is telling her that he loves her, and she doesn't respond.
Yeah.
Another way to try to trigger something. Dude, I'm telling you, they have these two under a microscope.
Yeah. Man, but that's double stuffed Oreo of guilt for Mark. One, really. He encourages her to go, and then she ends up dying. And
it's
then
not he set her up though.
Right, yeah, but I know, happens, but if that in your shoes,
well, yeah, he would
I should have went with her, and then maybe it wouldn't have happened, or maybe I should have tried to convince her to stay with me, and that wouldn't have happened, or and then even if it was unintentional, just having your last conversation with your wife being forgetting to say I love you, and then she dies. Even though he does say oh yeah, sorry, I love you too, but again, just taking for granted your partner, and Oh yeah, sorry I forgot this time, but like next time it'll be a genuine, heartfelt. Like I won't forget. I love
But
you.
also starting to come back up from a really low point. Like
Yeah.
they are like on the upswing here
Mhm.
because they're back to being affectionate and loving.
Yeah.
Um,
Just brutal.
it's so brutal. And this last bit, this is like the last part of the episode. We get a lot of back and forth between Mark and Gemma. So Matt, we get back to Mark. A car pulls into the driveway and he's obviously confused. It's only probably been like a couple, like 10 minutes or whatever. He gets up and starts to go to the door. Now we go back to Gemma. She's back on the testing floor. She's in the elevator. She's clearly upset, like feeling hopeless. We go back to Mark walking close to the door, and now we see two cops approaching the door.
Classic.
At this point, he knows something.
You really hate to see that.
Yes. There's a cool part in the video or the camera work where there's an overlap, like the one scene lingers a bit as it fades and you see both of them on screen, which is really cool. She's in the elevator. She begins to cry and she slides down the wall and she repeatedly says Mark, like she's crying out to Mark, which is terrible. So then we see the nurse walking Gemma back down the hallway, which fades into the back of Mark's head. Like it's like he's thinking it, but obviously he's not thinking it because he's out. And then that fades to black. And now we see Mark finally starting to wake up. At first, I was kind of questioning. I wasn't sure if maybe this was like one or the other, like if it was just any Mark now or outie Mark, like if one of them was gone and one was like permanent.
Yeah.
But the way like he's looking around confused and he looks like still just as like broken as he did before.
Yeah.
And Devin asks, "Where'd you go?" And then we get a quick flashback of Gemma going through the library. We get a close up on Gemma's face, and then the episode ends.
Yeah. It's a pretty okay episode.
I'm gonna fight you. This was one of my favorite episodes in so many ways. Like this makes me like want to root for Gemma and Mark so much more. Like I liked Helly and Mark together. I thought that was kind of cool, but this like it's always been about Gemma. Like it's got to be Gemma. Mark is like he knows that she's alive now, and he's like the guilt. Like he can like now make things right. He's got an uphill battle to climb.
Yeah.
An uphill, yeah. So it's gonna be really wild. I feel like it's gonna ramp up even more. I know it's been ramping up. I did have some like final thoughts.
Okay.
Just in general. Gemma only goes into the rooms that Mark has completed or that the MDR have completed. Cold Harbor is not complete, which explains why she can't go in there.
Yeah. I wonder what the link is there.
Right. Or they're like maybe they're like refining something for that that transition, that part of her brain. Like they're refining that part or that memory. Maybe they're implanting memories.
Oh, okay.
Or like, yeah, there's something there. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. We have yet to find out. We will find out soon.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Gemma maybe like in a way knows what's happening. Like maybe she's playing it off somehow. Like she knows what's happening, but I don't know. That kind of doesn't work either. Or maybe
in what way? Explain a little more.
Maybe some things like linger, like once she leaves the room.
So like her the inception, like maybe she's playing, making them think the innie is kind of like more innie than it actually is.
Yeah, there was a moment, and I can't remember where it was, but her reaction to a question didn't seem like someone who would or should forget what just happened. I don't know. Gemma's a smart girl. I feel like she'll
yeah.
Oh, another cool parallel is Gemma is so much like Helly from season 1 because she has this fight and drive to escape. She wants to be free. She wants to get out. She doesn't want to be there. Maybe at first she was like, yeah, I'm going to try this to see, what it's about. And then as cults do, they show their true colors once you get so far in. And she's like, oh, crap, now I need to get out. But hey, guess what? You can't because you're trapped.
Yeah.
You've signed this document saying that you're stuck here.
What if they can merge them somehow? And it could be jelly.
I don't know.
I just want to call someone Jelly. Gemma and Helly. Jelly.
Jelly. That'd be terrible. That'd be terrible. I did say this earlier that I think Lumen targeted them both. They were out for blood.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. So, and there were so many baby references in this, which makes the babies in the intro make more sense.
Yeah.
Except for baby Kier. That's just weird.
No, it still makes sense because
it does, but
what if they're like something like in their blood like makes them suitable candidates to like help Palpatine Kier, make this new clone of their leader.
Yeah.
I'm not getting off the clone thing. The clone thing is,
I know,
the foundation has been laid. We just got to figure out who it applies to.
Another crazy theory.
Do tell.
So we've been on this, we touched on it earlier about Lumen being very similar to Scientology.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't we made the reference that Adam Scott kind of looks a little bit like Tom Cruise?
This is all just Ben Stiller like making fun of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
That might be the best theory. Severance is just a giant diss track to Tom Cruise.
It's just a parody of Scientology and Tom Cruise.
Oh, I like it. That's my favorite.
But I do think I want to dig into that a little bit more because maybe we'll get some insight because I know that there are different levels to Scientology, and I wonder if obviously there are different levels to Lumen and any business really, but like, I feel like the deeper you get, the more crazy it gets and outrageous.
Yeah.
And who knows?
True. I think you might be onto something there. Maybe not the Tom Cruise diss track part, but there definitely is a lot of similarities.
Yeah,
with Scientology. So, yeah, I mean, we got to start figuring some stuff out because we only got 3 episodes left. So
I know. And then we'll have to wait another 3 years for season 3.
Yeah, which really is unfortunate.
Well,
because Chloe might put you into a home by the time season 3 comes out. So
right. Well, no, it shouldn't be too bad because we don't have. Well, hopefully we won't have another stupid writer strike.
Yeah.
Didn't
seem to. I mean, like outside of timeline, like
I don't think
quality-wise did not affect. Like,
no.
I think this has been because sometimes the whole sequel syndrome. I don't know what the appropriate term is, but like part 2 of a movie or like season 2 of a show or the sequel of a game.
Especially
of
when
times-
it's a hot thing. You know?
Yeah, a
People
lot of
love-
times people are like, "Oh, sir, the first one's the best."
Most cases, yes.
Season 1 of Severance was really good. Season 2 of Severance is equally as good, maybe better.
I think it is better. And a lot of issues I've heard people talk about the season 1 is it's such a slow burn. And
Yeah,
like
but I
it
liked
ramps
it.
up.
It was really good.
I loved it. It was perfect. But like then towards the end it ramps up a lot.
Yeah.
This season has been like
Just like
they're on mission, man.
they've turned it up from low to like number 3 on your stove. It's still not like a full flame, but like
Right.
we're moving along slightly faster.
Yes.
Which I'm okay with. Like
and it's a
I would
significant increase.
I loved the first season and like I just want like an MDR like sitcom. Like it's just the innies. They never leave. I want to know like yeah. I love the slow pacing of the first season, but
Yeah, I did too.
But yeah, season 2 has been phenomenal so far.
I love it. And I want more of
it.
I want more of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But I want more of the cinematographer or the video person
Oh yeah. Dude,
to direct more episodes, because this was like
she did so good.
This was my favorite episode. So
I was trying to mute before I started like unleashing a wild throat clear and it wouldn't mute.
So I don't know when it was, last episode or the episode before, where I said where I thought we were going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that we were going to get to the testing floor by the end of the season. That's a point for me.
That's 2 confirmed theories tonight.
So what we should do is we should give each other a point for each theory we got right.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the season, we'll tally up our points and see who wins.
Yeah. I do seriously want to go back and like write down every insane theory.
I have a way to do that quickly.
Sure, that's what you said in Discord. And
just
then
hold on. Just hold on, man. It might be 3 years, whatever.
By the time season 3 comes out. All right. I mean, do we have anything else?
That's it, man.
No? Okay. Well, let us know if you think Miss Huang is their child. I'm dead serious about this. I know like we joke around a lot, but like I'm actually dead serious about this. I'm pretty sure that has basically been like soft confirmed in this episode. There was so much good stuff. This conversation I think was fabulous, at least like on my end, being able to talk through this episode with you.
Yeah.
So let us know what you guys think. What you guys think is going on the testing floor? What you think like is really happening with Gemma? Subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Go check out the Patreon. We just started. I say we. It was myself and my friends over at the Bear Fruit Podcast. We started a companion series covering Amazon Prime's House of David. We just released the first episode yesterday on Monday. Those will be coming out on Mondays, so go check that out. Episode 1 covered the first 3 episodes of House of David. Side tangent, not a fan when shows drop like multiple episodes as their premiere.
Yeah.
Especially when they're each like an hour long. So yeah, mega podcast on on House of David. So go check that out. It was a lot of fun. Talk about some Old Testament Game of Thrones type stories.
For real.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So go check that out. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Peace.
I actually did it right, dude. I just want to let you know that like that was a great outro transition.
It was
I had the video
well done,
ready.
Didn't
Yeah.
have this